Sure am excited about our episode of Top Golf this week. Oh, easy now, killer. Don't need you hitting over the net now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hey, we're live this week, baby. Aren't you excited?
right.
Would you get a little test out here at Top Golf, huh?
Right, man. Getting loose.
Getting loose, huh? I tell you what, I'm so excited for our live show, man. This is a good way to get in gear because I'm not looking crazy on camera swinging a golf club. I swing a golf club in almost a year. I mean, can you still hit it? Can you still swing it?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Well, let's get a little bit of practice in before we get to that live show. And hey, we're gonna kill it, man. We are gonna kill it. So yes, unfortunately, we are not at Top Golf this week, but hey, we're back in studio. We're gonna get there one day.
One day.
The more viewers we get, the more numbers we get on YouTube and Spotify. And check us out, Instagram as well. The closer we're gonna get to live our dream, but we will be in our dreams.
Was it 16 grand? Is that what they were trying to charge us?
It was to the point of like I'd rather put my kids in college than do a 2-hour segment on a time. And 2 hours too. It's like, my gosh. But hey, we're going to find a way to get on a live segment. It won't be at Top Golf. It'll be somewhere else. But we're glad to have you on the Final Answer this week. Got a lot to recap.
Yep.
I would say, to me, an uneventful weekend. So we'll go through it quickly. Start up with, to me, the biggest shocker, Ole Miss at LSU. Ole Miss undefeated, looking to get to the Bama game. They go to LSU. Yep. LSU does exact opposite. I took a loss on that game.
I did too.
They take the momentum from the Florida game, shoot it up big, have a big game against Ole Miss, and really, are they for? I mean, Brian Kelly wins everywhere we go. We talked about that. Is he the real deal? Is this LSU team a team that's going to finish 10-2 maybe this season, or at least 9-3 and lose to Alabama?
I guess so at this point. I mean, I didn't have a lot of confidence in them, going into the first of the year, but that Florida State game they had was really close. They've had a couple of close ones here and there, but a couple of really bad losses too.
Yeah.
So the fact that they won this one kind of makes me look forward to next weekend,
Yeah,
Alabama, LSU.
Yeah, the big one next week. But again, they only have one blowout loss. So they've only lost twice. The blowout loss to Tennessee at home, and then the FSU loss. They've only lost twice. There's not a bunch of losses.
I thought they had
no,
three.
That's it, man.
Are you
so,
sure?
Yes, I'm 100% positive. So that'll be a big game next week. We'll look at that. But very impressed by Jaden Daniels. Very impressed by what Brian Kelly's got going on.
Okay.
6-2, yeah. So,
wow, okay. I redact my statement.
You leave the stats to the Swami, all right?
Swami.
But so big win for LSU. We'll go to Alabama, hosted Mississippi State. We thought Bama was going to respond. They did. Really, the game was controlled. I mean, it was 24. Nothing really for a lot of the third, fourth quarter. It finishes at 30-6. Very impressed with Brian Kelly. Very impressed with Jaden Daniels. LSU, I think I said, they got a lot more in store this season. I'm excited. And then I think LSU fans are starting to jump on that Brian Kelly bandwagon too. So moving on, we got Mississippi State, Alabama. You called it. You said Bama always responds after getting beat. Mississippi State's usually that team.
That's right.
They controlled the whole game. Like I said, it was 24-0 into the fourth quarter. I think it finishes at 30-6. I mean, is that what you expected Bama to come out?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be. I thought a little bit more of a fight out of Mississippi State just because they have a better team this year. Will Rogers and all those guys. So, especially the way who was it they beat the week before they played Alabama and they.
Kentucky.
Was it Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, especially the way that game went, but that was without Levis.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the one thing about that. But I definitely thought there would be more of a fight than there was. So.
Okay. The real big question of the year, Heisman candidate from Auburn, Bo Nix. What a season he is having. Oregon defeats UCLA, beats them by 15 points. At home. It's a tough place to play there. UCLA undefeated. Maybe the Pac-12's only chance. Now everybody's got a loss. There's nobody left. So I don't see a Final Four. But Bo is playing incredible since the loss at Georgia. Another monster day. I mean, to think that we didn't really see any of this, but maybe a couple times at Auburn to a consistent basis now. I mean, how impressed are you with what Oregon's doing right now?
So I'm loving it. I mean, I think he's rebounded after the Georgia game. My only doubt that's still out there for him is these defenses that he's playing.
Yeah.
How does it stack up against Alabama, Georgia? So, obviously he's had trouble in the SEC. He goes out west and he starts having all this success. I would love to see Oregon play an SEC or a good defensive team in a bowl game. and see how that plays out to see if Bo Nix has really figured it out or not.
Yeah, because like I said, he did struggle mightily with Georgia, but another 5 touchdown day.
I know.
One of the stats I saw that I was kind of like, hey, he ran for more yards than DTR. So DTR goes for 38 yards. And Bo goes for 51. So Bo's running the football still. I've seen a lot of games. I think Chance said he had 3 touchdowns one game.
Yeah.
But DTR.
And I say all this at the same time that Mac Jones got benched for Zappe.
Yeah.
The same weekend. So and Zappe was at Western Kentucky, you know, and had the same kind of career at Western Kentucky. Well, 1 year career at Western Kentucky doing the same thing.
So. A lot about the players around you, too, and the offensive line. Everything helps a quarterback better. I mean, you take Tyreek Hill from Patrick Mahomes, it's a little bit different when you watch them. It just is. So, I mean, Bo has better skill guys than what Auburn has, at least on campus right now. Maybe not running backs, but his offensive line is a major upgrade.
Yeah, it's definitely
and so
better.
giving him time, outside, like I said, outside the Georgia game, he has been. I think I got him in my Heisman top 5 right now, Brett.
Really?
I do,
Okay.
man. I have him going to New York, and that's crazy to where he came from, transferring after breaking his leg, and nobody thought anything really was going to come of Bo. So very impressed by the Ducks. Big win at home.
That's good. Jalen Hurts went through that same thing. Get benched for Tua, go to Oklahoma, boom, all of a sudden he's having the success that.
So that tailors into Oklahoma State. Host Texas.
Yep.
Everybody was kind of jumping on that Texas bandwagon. Oklahoma State coming off the loss. They survive at home 41-34. That was a really close game. I think Texas had the lead at one point, and Oklahoma had a pick, I believe. A lot of crazy things happened in that game towards the end, but Oklahoma State survives. Again, they're just knocking each other out, just like the Pac-12, where there's no undefeated teams in the Big 12 out, and even TCU lost to this point. So, actually, I think TCU may be undefeated. Double check that.
Yeah, TCU's still undefeated.
Okay, so but they no. So Oklahoma State goes to Kansas State this week, and they're not favored in the game.
That's right.
So it's like, man, they just even if they're winning, they're not. That's kind of what I was getting to. Is that they're still going on the road and they're not favored.
It's like Vegas is waiting for them to slip up, which it could have happened this weekend. It may very well happen in Kansas State this weekend.
And TCU is undefeated, so that is the last team. They are 7-0, and they go to West Virginia, which shouldn't be a test this week. Was there any other ones you wanted to touch on, Brett? The only one I want to say was Clemson-Syracuse. Syracuse had that game, and then Shipley just makes the plays at the end to put Clemson over the hump. I mean, I was very, very shocked by how quick Syracuse jumped on them. But again, Clemson proves me. I've called all year Clemson's demise, and they just keep coming out of it and making plays at the end to win the games.
Yeah, I agree. And
I mean, they're number 5-4 in the country now, undefeated. Like, you can't test what Dabo does with his guys, and he brings them together, and they know how to win, man.
And Dabo does that very well. And so I don't have any more games I want to touch on, but I want to build on what you're talking about here. And I want to talk about we're in week 9. Okay. We're going into week 9. Okay. I want to see what your version of the college football playoff looks like.
Okay, so if we're doing my version of the college football playoff right now, I think it should be 8 teams, but it's not, so we'll go 4.
Okay.
So right now, if I had to give you a Final Four, as of right now, I would say this is going to be tough.
It's very tough.
I'm going to go Clemson.
Okay.
I think Ohio State does beat Michigan.
Okay.
I don't know where that game is. I can look real quick and see what that game is.
I think it's at Ohio State this year.
The game is at Ohio State. So I Ohio State to win the Big 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got Clemson. God, it's the same teams every dang year.
Yeah.
It is the same teams every year. Clemson, Ohio State. I'm going to say Georgia, and I'm going to say Alabama. I'm going to say Alabama comes back and beats Georgia, and then Georgia makes it as a one. I mean, it's literally
okay.
Something has to change, man.
So I'm going to go. So I'm going Ohio State. I'm going Clemson. I'm going Georgia, but I'm going Tennessee. I think.
So you think Georgia beats Tennessee, and then Georgia beats Alabama, and then Tennessee gets in a one loss?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
That could happen. What also could happen was the fact that if TCU does run the table, do they go over a one-loss SEC team? I think this year they got to.
They might. If they.
I mean, they'll have some quality wins on their resume, Oklahoma State and some stuff like that. So it's like I think if they run the table, TCU does. I think they make it over one-loss SEC team. If there's 4 undefeated Power 5 teams this year, I think there's just not anybody that separates himself this year. So
I agree. It's been messy. It has.
But there's nobody else has a chance.
Yeah.
Pac-12's done.
But I will say Ohio State and Tennessee have two of the best offenses in the country right now. I mean, they are unbelievable. Georgia's been they've had some games.
But Georgia has a way better defense than Ohio State and Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, and that'll be the clash I think everybody's looking forward to is Georgia defense versus Tennessee offense.
Yep.
Ohio State Michigan is just going to be a good game.
Oh, yeah.
That game is blown up the last 5-10 years. You know, I saw a stat the other day about Ryan Day. He has a better record than Saban.
I saw that.
And since
since 2018,
and nobody ever talks about it.
Yep.
I mean, he takes over after Urban Meyer and all the turmoil. I mean, not many guys. No guys taking
three regular season losses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody.
I think 3 losses in general.
When he left Florida, they still haven't kind of survived. I mean, they've had a couple good years with Muschamp one year and then Mullen one year, but nobody's done anything what Mullen's done. Day is he's done better, man. It's incredible what Ryan Day's done.
He's good, man.
All right, so recapping the week of the college football. Like I said, it was a pretty good week, but not a great week.
Yeah.
And like I said, this week is not a really good week either.
Let's jump into NFL.
I don't want to jump in NFL, man. I want to talk about the fact that we should be live right now in crab cakes and golf.
That's what man.
Yeah, I can't get over it, man. But hey, we'll be there. A man can hope and dream,
that's
right?
That's right.
All right, so moving on to the NFL. Man, what is going on?
I have no idea.
I mean,
that's
first of all, your Lakers are 0-4, and I don't call them your Lakers anymore because LeBron.
Kobe's not there, so they're not mine.
But you got LeBron's team's 0-4. You got Rodgers and Brady both with the worst records they've had in a long time, and having some of the worst stats. Are some of those guys that have been the pinnacle of MVP status the last 10 to 15 years? Is this the year all three of them fall off? We won't get into LeBron because that's basketball, but let's start with the Bucks.
Yeah.
They lose to Carolina, a one-win Carolina team with P.J. Walker, who was playing in the USFL last year.
Yep.
I mean, Tom Brady is not. I can't remember the last game they didn't score a touchdown. A Tom Brady team. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to find the stat. He goes 32 of 49, 290 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. It wasn't like he had an awful game, but it's just like.
Man, I don't know what's going on. I said this last week. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's too many Chiefs and too many cooks in the kitchen, whatever that statement is. Julio Jones is coming back.
You're the one that said that statement. Yeah. So what is too many cooks in the kitchen? I would think that'd be a good thing because you get a lot of food out.
Yeah. I know, but you're all bumping into each other.
Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And we talked about that last week, but when lost, but then they lose again. I think they don't have a big play receiver.
So Julio's coming back.
Yes.
This week. So we may see something different tonight.
Yes.
Thursday night against the Ravens, but. I don't know. There's something weird going on with Mike Evans and this whole referee thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was weird.
Yeah,
and I know they came out saying, he was getting his number for golf lessons or something. I don't know, whatever.
But to me, what's weird is the fact that they're still leading the division. So it's not over.
That just tells you how bad that division is.
But here's the other news. I saw breaking news today that Giselle pretty much said he retired or it's her or the football. Like, that was like from a true news source that she did say that. So I think it's a lot of the off-the-field stuff is finally getting back. Yeah. You got the Antonio Brown situation. You got the Brady situation. Mike Evans getting suspended, getting autographs. From, all this. I think Bruce Arians being on the field. It's almost been like a dramatic TV show down there, which has resulted in not very good football. And then again, people.
Why can't we have Hard Knocks right now
with
the Bucks?
And again,
I want to see Hard Knocks in Tampa Bay right now.
But they're a Gronk free agency signing away from me being a favorite for the Super Bowl. They lose him too. People forget that. But 21-3. Again, I'm just very shocked by what's going on. But they still can win the division, still can turn it around. I expect them to. But it's weird as a fan of all these guys, these older guys that are going in. We'll talk about Rodgers in a minute, that have dominated for so long. Russell Wilson. And to see them not succeed, it's like, God, I'm so used to seeing it. It's rough to watch.
Well, and everybody's calling Russ a phony now with this. Did you see this thing where he talked about he was working out for 4 hours on the flight over to London?
Doing high knees on the London plane.
While everybody else is sleeping, he's doing high knees or something over the Atlantic.
He's always been that way. I just, like you said, you take it. But the Packers lose to the Commanders. When you get to the Packers and Rodgers, they've lost, 3 straight games now?
Yep.
To me, it is high red alert. It's panic time that Rodgers always, hey, don't panic. It's panic time in Green Bay. You've given away the best wide receiver in the NFL, and this is the results of it. Something's got to fix. They either got to go get Odell Beckham Jr. or got to go find somebody for Rodgers.
So I hear that they're talking about getting what's his name from Pittsburgh. Did you see that too?
Yes, I did. Deion Johnson.
No, it wasn't. What's his name?
Or Claypool.
Claypool. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, it was Claypool. I saw that they're supposedly all in on trying to get Claypool to come over there. And Claypool, he had some good years at Pittsburgh, but now it's kind of...
He needs a little direction, leadership, I think, too. Rodgers, 23 of 35, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, he's not like... They're not having like... Those are okay days for other quarterbacks, but it's like, man... Receiving, Lazard is the leading receiver at 55 yards. When's the last time you saw like, a game that didn't have a 100-yard receiver for the Packers?
The thing I don't like that Rodgers was doing right now, though, is calling out his team through the media.
Yeah.
Like, I understand he may be doing that in the locker room, too, but locker room stuff is locker room stuff.
Yeah.
Don't throw it out into the media because then it's just going to be worse and worse and worse. And he did it again today. He doubled down on what he said.
Yeah.
And I just, man, that is not something I like from a guy in his leadership position to do to the team.
Well, so again, you got a failed leader, and then you got another situation. So again, outside stuff, leadership qualities that these guys have always had led by example. Now I feel like these guys have to lead verbally. They proved to doing it before, challenging teammates. But this is a weird. This is a Ben Roethlisberger type challenge where he's bashing them on the radio show.
Yeah.
Big Ben used to do that all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just not smart leaders right now. So we'll see how these two teams turn around. The other game I wanted to touch on a little bit, Kansas City goes to 49ers.
Yep.
Beats them pretty good. Juju, Miko Hart. These other guys are stepping up for Kansas City. McCaffrey, the big signing. We hadn't talked about that. They give up a whole slew of people to go get a running back. Gosh, I feel like that San Francisco has no-name running backs and they run for 100 yards. Why would you go get it? Like, what is he going to do any different than these other guys? Like, they always can run the football.
Well, Mostert was there last year. Now he's in Miami, and he's doing pretty good in Miami. I don't really understand that move. But at the same time, McCaffrey's had a lot of injury issues.
Yes.
So I don't really understand, Shanahan going and doing that. And
well, to me, it's like, and what's so crazy is we're going to circle back to this. Leonardi, big Giants fan. They drafted Wan'Dale Robinson this year, and I was like, man, he's the same player as Kadarius Toney, who they drafted the year before. There was George Pickens sitting there, who we know is going to be a superstar,
and he is.
He is. Yet they draft a guy who's exactly the same. Well, sure enough, a year later, breaking news: the Chiefs trade for Kadarius Toney from the New York Giants. So again, they're Tyreek Hill-esque. He's got that wiggle to him, as my brother says. He's got maybe more wiggle than Tyreek. He don't have that top speed that Tyreek has. But if you don't recall, Kadarius Toney broke an NFL record for rookie receiving yards in a game. This guy is a highlight reel, and you know that watching the Gators play, he's just been a little injury prone. But that right there is like the Chiefs are winning games. They're 5-2, yet they're still searching. They went and got Juju. Now they're going to get Kadarius Toney. They're trying to find that guy. They got Valdez-Scantling, who hasn't done anything. He's on my fantasy team. He has done nothing for them. Maybe they can trade him back to Green Bay because he's not the answer. So they're still looking for that thing because they know come playoff time, they're going to need to be all guns go to get Mahomes. They're taking advantage of Mahomes in his prime. I still think Rodgers is in his prime, and Green Bay just never wants to take advantage of that, man.
I feel like the Chiefs don't have a good edge rusher either. Like, they need somebody that's going to get off the ball and go make some things happen on defense.
I mean, Frank Clark's kind of always been that guy. But yeah, again, most of their secondary
like what I would have loved, and I know Carolina.
They got Dunlap, man. That was their big offseason signing. But he's not the same Carlos Dunlap.
But like Brian Burns is sitting at Carolina right now. Yeah. And I know Carolina doesn't want to trade him because they're gonna try and re-sign him this offseason for a huge deal. But I would love to see like Brian Burns go to the Chiefs, and that would immediately just shoot them up to the top.
San Francisco is 3-4 now, but they got McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, one of the best. Like, man, if they can put it together, they still got some great defensive players. I love Fred Warner at linebacker. I mean, they almost jumped to a Super Bowl favorite, but can they put it all together by the time and make the playoffs? Because they're in a good division. They got LA Rams sitting there right with them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I thought that was a very interesting game. All the really good teams we talked about, Buffalo, Philly, and Minnesota did not play this week. But
there wasn't really another great game. I will say the Giants. You talked about them for a second, but the Giants in Jacksonville. Man, it really showed me their defense, the way that game ended. I don't know if you saw it or not, but they were on the 17-yard line. Jacksonville's trying to punch it in.
Yeah.
And that defense really stepped up and saved the game. Pat McAfee was talking about it, but I mean, he called it out. They're about 3 feet away from a win.
Yeah.
Jacksonville was.
Well, we talked about that earlier in the year. It's like, man, it's amazing what 2 or 3 feet. Like, the Giants are 4-2. Now they're, it's like 2 or 3 feet in the NFL. But win's a win. You move on. You get out of there.
Well, and Tom Brady. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. What was it?
Yeah.
For
1 foot, 1 yard line.
Yeah. Russ throws that pass.
Malcolm Butler. Yeah. But I will say my 2 things for the week are the Bengals are back.
They are.
Joe Burrow's back. Watch out for anybody in their way. The Colts are not back. Matt Ryan, they've benched him now. Another veteran who we've seen succeed for a long time gets benched. They lose the Titans. I think Indy was thinking, man, we're in the playoffs with Phillip Rivers even the next year, and then now it's like, man, they've
had 8 different quarterbacks since Andrew Luck.
Yeah, and that just tells you how bad that put them under. They've been looking for that veteran quarterback to lead them. They had Carson Wentz last year, and they were a play away from making the playoffs. It's like now, man, they got a great offensive line, some young talent everywhere, and now it's like, man, we can't find a guy behind center.
Hines, Taylor, you got a lot of good receivers too.
Yep.
Like they need it, and we got a good quarterback class coming out of college.
Yeah.
Drake May. Sam Hartman, plus all the big ones that are going to be up there in the Heisman discussion. So, I mean, it's deep.
I love how you started off with 2. It's like, no, there's Bryce Young and there's C.J. Stroud.
But those guys are going to be are going to be up there.
Yes, yeah.
I'm talking about even down below that. You have
Will Levis.
Yeah. You got a lot of these guys down below that are still really good.
Yeah.
So you got a good quarterback class.
There's some teams that are licking their chops because a quarterback can change a team in the NFL. It's weird to say this. I almost like to revert back to basketball now that's playing, but they were talking about doing the soccer rule in basketball because they felt like teams were losing or not playing hard on purpose to get the number 1 or 2 pick. Where in soccer, if you do that, you're the bottom 2 in your league, you get pushed to the league below you, and they're talking about bringing up a G League team. It was like, whoa, that would be a lot of crazy stuff, but it seems like
Miami did that. Tank for Tua.
Yeah. So teams have been known to history when there's a big type prospect. To me, there's 2 or 3 quarterbacks, maybe 5, that could really help a franchise 5 or 6 years down for the road.
Same situation with the Saints. They've got all this talent and everything. They're looking for that quarterback. Jameis, I don't think is the answer.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton's not the answer.
I think I heard Jameis got benched, where he's actually had a better record and a better touchdown interception ratio than Dalton. So that was an interesting call on my end.
Well, supposedly he's got some fractures in his back from the week that they played the Bucks. What is it, week 2?
Okay.
And so I think he's injured, right? So he's not 100%. So that's kind of part of it too. But
well, I mean, like I said, it was 42-34 was the final on Thursday night, so we'll see how they bounce back. But like I said, it's a bigger week in the NFL this week. We'll get to that on our picks. Again, everybody's just kind of right there besides Buffalo, I feel like, and Minnesota's got a good record, and then Philadelphia.
Yep.
But it's so much more to go. Early Super Bowl predictions, are you still sticking with what you have?
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys are on the up and up. Bengals, I'm still going Cowboys-Bengals.
Okay, all right. Like I said, I think I'm still going to go Bills and Ravens. I'm sorry, Bills and what was the NFC?
Bills and Cardinals.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Cardinals. I know.
That's me. Hold on.
Chance at the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You're orange. Bills and Packers.
Packers, yes.
That's right, Bills.
Packers got to get a receiver. Odell Beckham, come on down. So my Bills are looking good. My Packers. I thought Rodgers. I was betting on Rodgers to have that last good year.
I think Claypool. If they could get Claypool over there, I think it'd really, do some good for them. I don't know about Odell. I mean, yeah, I just don't know.
Like I said, he'll be back soon, and I guess so will we on the final answer. Brett and Brett here, making our picks of the week. Have you been doing good? Have you looked back and seen what your records are? I mean,
so I did good last week.
Okay.
I don't know about looking at my record for the season.
Hey, we'll have to get the final record for next week's episode and see kind of where we are.
Is that Chance's job?
Listen.
No.
Chance wears many hats.
No.
That will be the producer's job, which is actually Chance. So yes, you're right. So speaking of picks,
I feel like the producer's like the data guy.
Yeah, because we needed him for our picks, but once his dog started making better picks than him, we kind of just shoot him to the side. So anyways, back to our picks. Ohio State at Penn State, big game. It's 11 a.m. game. I hate how they're doing that early game.
That should be a primetime game.
But it is on prime time because the guys in the north like the early game when they get the food out, they get it done, they take a nap after the game's over.
They're up an hour earlier. But
Okay. Ohio State, Penn State.
How weird would it be if game day started at 9?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. The West Coast, man, they're out there when it's dark when it's game day out there.
So you roll over, turn it on, go back to sleep for 3 hours?
Yes.
I was used to that.
Number 13 team in the country, Penn State, hosting at home, yet they're 15.5 underdogs.
Yeah.
I still like Ohio State 15.5.
I still like Ohio State too. Like I said earlier in the recap, Ohio State and Tennessee have the two best offenses in the country right now. Penn State doesn't have the defense to stop Ohio State.
Yeah, I actually love a 3-game tease with Ohio State down to 5.5. You find two other teams. I actually think I may have that.
I already did that. Actually, I did it with Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and then Tennessee.
Notre Dame kind of hadn't been really talked about at all this year on the show. And where the last couple of years they've been kind of where they're in the Final Four. They're going to Syracuse. Syracuse just lost to Clemson. That line's a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah.
2.5. I'm going to be a sucker for this, and I'm going to take Syracuse at 2.5.
Oh, I'm taking them too. And Syracuse. I've heard a lot of people talk about them being one-dimensional and everything, but that Clemson game was fairly close, and it's their only loss on the season. Notre Dame is a wreck right now. Plus, it's at Syracuse. So I'm just rolling with that.
Okay.
Who did y'all pick for the first one?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Both of us stick to Ohio State. All right, next one. Ooh. World's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Jacksonville.
How is Florida horrible, yet we talk about them every week? Because I feel like they're in a big game every week. They play at LSU, Georgia.
Yeah, they've always been...
the biggest line on a Florida-Georgia game ever.
Yep.
22.5. I got to take the Gators at 22.5 for pride. They've played good in big games this year. Utah and Tennessee games were close towards the end. They won one, they lost one against teams that were ranked higher than them. I'm going to say the Gators keep it within 21. I say they lose by 14 or 17.
Well, I think looking back at the history of this game is normally not more than 7-point differential. So.
Not quite LSU, Auburn. There's been a couple blowouts on both ends on that, but yeah, it's usually a close game.
I'm going with you. I'm going Florida plus 22. Georgia will win the game, but Florida's going to keep it closer than that.
Kansas State hosting Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, there goes. They lose a big one. They win a big one at home. Now they're back on the road. Kansas State's number 22. Oklahoma State's number 9. And yet Kansas State's favorite at home. I'm going with Spencer Sanders and Oklahoma State. I think they get back on the roll. I like them at plus 1.5.
Yeah, I do too. And Oklahoma State's got a good defense too. So, that's what I like about them. Even though they've got everything happening on offense, they've got a pretty decent defense too. So, one of the other things too, I heard some guys talking on the radio that Oklahoma State is like top 10 or something in third down conversions. Yeah. They're like plus 4 or 5 in the turnover ratio right now. So, I mean, they're doing really well.
Okay.
Stat-wise.
Yeah, stat-wise. All right. Tennessee hosting Kentucky. This was looked upon as a big game until Will Levis got hurt. Kentucky, I don't think, has lost with Will Levis in the lineup. Are they going to keep it closer than 12? I mean, Tennessee, is there a hangover from the Alabama game still? Are they still thinking? I think their eyes are on the prize, but I like Kentucky at plus 12. If Will Levis is playing, I think it's a 7 to 10 point game because, like I said, Kentucky's got a good defense. I know that's kind of, I'm almost regretting it now saying that because I think Tennessee's going to win the game, but I'm saying Tennessee by 10. 42.
So you got to tease that down?
42 to 31. 11-point game. I think they're going to win by 11, and they cover the 12.
Okay. I'm going Tennessee at minus 12.
Okay.
And the reason is, so this is the first time that they have played that both of them have been ranked since 1951. You see I wrote 1951 on the board.
I just figured that was
71 years.
Wow.
Since they
so a lot of firsts this weekend. The Florida line. 1951. Wow.
1951.
So I think Kentucky comes to play.
And Tennessee beat them that year and went on to win the national championship. So history's going to repeat itself. Tennessee wins big. So,
I love when you bring up those good stats like that. Here on the final answer, and NFL picks. Let's go ahead and move along to those. Chance has got a load of NFL games this week. Again, a bigger week in the NFL this week.
Yeah.
There's
What,
some
six
yes.
Yep.
There's some
better, definitely better games this week.
get off the pot type games. Either you're real or you're not real. This
Yep.
is going to be our NFL real or not real week.
Look at these I mean,
They're crazy.
4-3, 3-4.
Yes.
4-3.
So this is find out who's a good team. We'll start with tonight. Baltimore at Tampa Bay. I'm taking Baltimore. I think Baltimore's going to win this game by 7 or 10 points. I think I'm done with Tampa Bay. I have a chance. This is the chance better from the last week. I'm done with them. I'm never again. Don't touch them. I think it may have been you that was that guy. BYU.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going. Baltimore usually doesn't
the
let me
grudge?
down. Yeah, the grudge. I'm taking Baltimore +2 to move to 5 and 3.
All right, so I got you another stat on this one. So Tampa Bay has not won against the spread since week 2 against the Saints.
Wow.
So they're 0-5 right now against the spread since week 2.
They making it 0-6.
Brady has also he hasn't lost 3 games in a row since 2002.
Wow.
So those are some stats, but I'm going Baltimore.
You've done your research today, man.
yeah.
Hey, he's really digging into his role over here, and I love it. Miami at Detroit. Miami 4-3, Detroit 1-5. The only reason this game's on there is because I feel like that Miami, Tua, he's playing out of control.
Yeah,
he's got to be safer this week, but the line's 3.5. Why is it 3.5?
That's weird.
That team is a 14-point favorite over Detroit any day of the week.
4-3 and 1-5.
Yes, something's fishy. And you know what? I never go with the something fishy. I always go with my gut. I'm going Miami at 3.5.
Yeah.
They win by 14 points.
Man, all right. Well, I'm going Miami 3.5. I don't know about the 14 points, but
I'm-
it's at Detroit. Detroit's offense has been great.
Yeah.
Their defense is.
Shout out Noah Igbenogany with the big pick to win the Steelers
That's
game
right,
last
that's
week.
right.
So I think they're kind of getting together and saying that's a win where they win a close win against Pittsburgh. They come off and they explode the next week. I like
Yeah.
Miami big.
Okay.
Arizona at Minnesota. Arizona kind of getting things back on track with the win against the Saints. Here they come and play a Minnesota team who's coming off a bye week. They're 5-1. They've been red hot. 3.5. I like the Vikings at 3.5. I'm not sold on, even with Hopkins back, I'm not sold on the Cardinals.
No, I'm not either. I think the Cardinals are still trying to figure out what they're doing. J.J. Watt's been kind of, hurt a little bit. The defensive line has been okay, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of money in Arizona right now, and they are just not playing the way they need to be playing. So, Vikings.
Okay. All right. So,
So y'all are agreeing on every single pick so far.
Okay. Very good.
my pleasure.
What about this next one? Ooh.
San Francisco at LA Rams. San Francisco, you can't sign Christian McCaffrey and lose 2 games straight. That's just the way it is. Too much power, too much speed. They always play really well against the Rams.
This would be the third straight.
Third straight what?
This would be
Loss.
the
Okay, so
third straight loss.
third straight loss. But
They
again,
didn't have McCaffrey.
but yeah, they have
Never had
beaten
one.
the Rams every time except in the playoffs of the conference championship last year. They own the Rams. I think this is the game. They put it together with McCaffrey. They got a week. It's not a crazy week anymore. I like San Francisco at 1.5 to go to 4-4, and the Rams to move to 3-4. This is a big division game, Brett.
This is a big division game, and I'm going to roll with the Rams. Yeah, I'm doing the Rams plus 1.5 money line, whatever you want to do. I know there's been some things going on with Akers. Don't really know what's going on. Henderson's been playing great. Allen Robinson's kind of been coming. He's on my fantasy team in 2 leagues. He's kind of been finding his way.
Is Van Jefferson back playing yet?
No, Van Jefferson's not back, but
And I saw Odell on the sideline dapping
Yeah.
the boys up. It's like, man, I think that, gosh, if they get him back, they'll be back where they need to be. So I still like the Rams, but I think the big game is going to go for the 49ers
Debo
again.
and Jalen are going to be button heads. They
But man,
always
they got
do.
they got a lot of options with San Francisco. I like San Francisco to win this game and keep that regular season streak alive against the Rams.
All right.
Green Bay.
All right, there you go, Chance. 49ers, Rams.
Yeah,
All right,
you got a
we'll
different
split
pick.
one. All right.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Green Bay at Buffalo, 11.5. When's the last time Aaron Rodgers had 11.5 point spread against him?
No
It's
kidding.
never.
Never.
I think since his rookie year is what they said.
Never.
Yeah.
Not his rookie year. Never.
Never.
Oh, okay.
It probably is his rookie year. I'm just playing.
The history of never.
Forever.
Forever.
I like Buffalo at 11.5. Again, Green Bay has stunk every week. They've let me down every week. And not the same as Tampa Bay. They're done. Zippo, Zuda, Buffalo 11.5. Josh Allen's my fantasy quarterback. I love the Bills. Dad born in Buffalo. Going Buffalo 11.5.
I got Buffalo's defense in a couple of leagues, and they are playing lights out. So, Buffalo.
You're not picking by your fantasy. That just tells you how good they are. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
gotcha.
keeping track of what they're doing with the defense. So.
All right, last game. Again, another game closer than I think should be. Cincinnati at Cleveland. The Bengals are coming on. The Bears are 3.5.
The
I'm
Browns.
jumping on.
The Browns.
I'm sorry, the Browns. I'm jumping on 3.5. Like the Bengals are going to beat them by 14 points. Like this
Yeah.
can't be right.
Yeah, something's up with Vegas and these numbers here. So
I
I'm
guarantee-
going Cincy too.
And we'll look back next week. I want to look back at our total records towards the halfway of the year. That way I can brag on how much better I am than you. I may be wrong. I don't even know this answer. I'm just assuming that I'm doing better. But I want to look back at some of these lines. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Arizona, Minnesota,
Eric is getting
Miami,
back there.
Detroit. Look back at those 2 or 3 lines that were really fishy. That
Yeah.
we'll give them our fishy, fishing hook lines of saying, hey, I'm taking the bait. Usually that always costs me, but it's just too weird of a line. I think the other one we saw was what? Syracuse at 2.5 over Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That line's way too close.
Yeah.
So let's see who does better this week. Hey, how about this week? I don't know what the records are. I have not looked. If you have a better record than me, I'll buy you a sandwich next week for lunch. If I got a better record than you, you buy me a sandwich.
Okay. All right. Schlotzky's?
Gotta be.
Okay.
Here. Final answer. We're looking for sponsors. We're shooting for anything. Come on, Slotsky.